On episode 438 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet Tom Holland and discuss his book, The Micro Workout Plan. Get the body you want without the gym in 15 minutes or less a day. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/438. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. This episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is sponsored by Lumen. Lumen is the first handheld device to measure a person's metabolism in real time through your breath. It will tell you if your body is using carbs or fat for fuel. Then it provides you with personalized meal plans and insights to help you reach your weight and fitness goals. Lumen is working to improve the metabolic health and quality of life one breath at a time. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/Lumen. LUMEN, and use the code 40FitnessPodcast25 to get $25 off. I'm a big fan of having data about your health and fitness, and Lumen can be a great tool on your journey. Visit 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/Lumen. Use the code 40FitnessPodcast25 to get that wonderful listener discount. I'll be sure to have a link and the code in the show notes at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/438. Our guest today is an author, corporate consultant, exercise physiologist, and elite endurance athlete. As a Bowflex fitness advisor, he creates contents, markets new products, and hosts weekly fitness videos online. He has served as a celebrity ambassador for Core Hydration, Elliptigo, FRS Health Energy, Power Bar, FitFine, Sportswater, and other companies. He's hosted numerous best-selling fitness DVDs, including the Abs Diet Workout, Supreme 90 Day, and the Herbalife 24 Fit, which have sold more than 1 million copies. He's made many radio and TV appearances. With no further ado, here's Tom Holland. Tom, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
So great to be with you.
You know, and as trainers, we know the number one reason that most people give us that, I can't work out. I don't have time to work out. That's their reason. It's like, I just don't have enough time in the day. I think with a lot of people idled during the pandemic stuff, they had a lot more time, but then they didn't have a gym.
Right.
And so, there's a second reason. And I actually struggle with that too, because I'm one of those guys that I'm a gym rat. I love going in the gym and pushing bigger weights.
Sure.
Can't necessarily do at home. But your book, the Micro Workout Plan, Get the Body You Want Without the Gym in 15 minutes or less a day, is really, really cool. I think this obviously it solves both problems pretty quickly. And you've got like 30 workouts in there. They give a lot of variety and a lot of opportunity. And they're all things that we can do basically with nothing more than body weight and dumbbells.
Yeah. And, I'm like you, Alan. I still go to the gym. I love going to the gym. I've been, spent the better part of my life in a gym, but, it's an adjunct, right? So as you know, it's what we do outside the gym that really matters as well. It's both that are important. Yeah. So yeah, this new book, really excited, just came out a couple of weeks ago. And it's to help those people that, as well, will say, hey, I don't always want to go to the gym, or I don't want to go to the gym, and I just want to feel better. I want to look a little better. I want to lose a couple pounds. I don't want to be in pain. I want to be able to, go golf or do whatever I do without pain. So, I know a lot of people will hear micro workouts in 15 minutes, but if you think about it, we're generally, even if you go to the gym, you're doing like 5 minutes of abs and 5 minutes of arms and 5 minutes of chest. So it kind of just breaks it down into manageable chunks. And you can do 5, you can do 25. It's just making it accessible and easier for the average person.
Yeah. I train online as well as in the gym. And, most of my clients that are online because they don't want to go to the gym. Right. So you don't have to go to the gym, and that's what's I think is really good about all this is these are all things that you can do in your garage, in your living room. Really, really simple but effective exercises. I really like the workouts that you have in here.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, in the book, you go through and identify the 5 components of fitness. Would you mind going through those?
Yeah. So, back when I was studying for all these certifications, and I went on to get a master's degree, and they talk about constantly these 5 components of fitness. And, most people, I would argue, Alan, are doing one, right? And it's what they generally love to do and what they're genetically predisposed to do. But for those people who don't know, it's, muscular strength, lifting heavy things, muscular endurance, being able to you do it for a longer period of time, cardiovascular endurance, so basic heart health. And then you have flexibility, and there's a lot of debate about that. I'm sure you've done numerous shows, and constantly we're talking about importance or when and where about flexibility. And then the fifth would be body composition. So that's the amount of body fat you have, and just your body composition as far as body mass and body fat. So all 5 of those things are important, Alan. And most people, again, do 1, maybe 2 consistently, and we need to do all 5.
Yes, I agree. And I would throw a 6th in there if you don't mind. I
Sure.
would put balance. As we get older, and you've mentioned this in the book. If we're building strength, we're more resilient for the fall. But you can also train some balance in there too. So I always throw in balance because as
We are totally aligned, Alan. I just did a show myself about that very thing. I said there should be a 6th component. So I'm 100% with you. And I'm surprised that they didn't include it. And I think they should going forward. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess 20 years ago, no one over the age of 40 would have even thought about working out. And so now it's, as if we have the baby boomers coming through, there's a larger and larger contingent of people that are over 50, over 60, over 70, and even over 80 that are still training and active.
Yes.
So, that's all going to come about. And all of these are really important for us to train. And you have workouts across the board that do those, which is really cool. Now,
Thank you.
I liked one thing that you put in the book because this is the way we use our words. When I was an auditor, I always knew the way I wrote an audit report was really, really important. The words I used in that audit report, how they would affect the audit committee, how they would affect management. And so you spend a lot of time working on the words that you use in a report. And then when I started training people, I realized, wait, it's kind of the same thing. If
Sure.
I'm using the wrong words, then that doesn't work. If they're using the wrong words, I kind of have to pick up on that. But you list 2 words in the book that are really, really important for people to avoid.
Yeah, it's only and just. And, I even find myself slipping occasionally and using them, obviously in a different way, but in the wrong way. So when people say, Alan, I only walked 2 miles today, or I just did, 3 minutes of stretching, my response is you have to take those words out of your vocabulary because science just contradicts it. So, I always use the example of 3 10-minute bouts of exercise. Let's use cardio as an example, has the exact same benefit as one continuous 30-minute bout. And I would say, and I'm sure you'd agree too, actually, if you do 3 10-minute bouts, you can actually push yourself a little harder, depending on what you're doing. So there is no workout that is too short, and, minutes literally matter when it comes to overall health and wellness. And you don't have to do an hour. You don't have to do a half an hour. And it's what you do throughout the day. Again, truly, that all adds up.
Yeah, as you put in the book, the government guidelines, they're going to say we should do 150 minutes at moderate or 75 minutes at extreme or intense. But there's no magic to that. There's no. It doesn't all have to be done in one workout. It's not like you need to put that 2.5 hours in 1 hour increments or even half-hour increments at that point. Your book and the exercise you have in there, they're 5-minute blocks.
Right.
And they allow you to pick and choose so that you're getting across all those different components of fitness we talked about. And then with that, this now kind of defines your fitness perspective philosophy that you call excessive moderation. Could you describe that for us?
Yeah, I love, talking about this. It's just over the years, what I've found is, the secret to talking to TV sound bites is not doing, most people do a lot of exercise a little, right? New Year's rolls around, you get all motivated, you go to the gym. We all know, and we're all guilty of that at some point in our lives. And you do a lot for a short amount of time. And you either get burnt out, injured, or generally both, and then you don't do anything. And the true secret, if there is one, and I don't even like using that term, but it's doing a little bit a lot. So that's where the whole philosophy of excessive moderation and shorter workouts done throughout the day, it's being consistent. And you and I talked about that, before the show even started. It's about consistency. That is my most important metric, and was back when I was a trainer, is just show up. That's the most important thing, is how many times you exercise. Then we can talk about, what you're doing, but showing up, not just in fitness, in life, is one of the major keys to success.
Oh yeah, just showing up is 90%.
Yeah.
If you're there, that's why I tell some clients, they'll tell me they're just not quite motivated, and I'm like, okay, go get on the elliptical if that's what you got in your basement. Get on that elliptical, get on the rower, and go for 5 minutes.
Sure.
And after 5 minutes, if you're not feeling it anymore, cool, just wrap it up, go take a shower, and go to work. But what most people find is they get in there for that 5 minutes. Like I said, if they did a 5-minute block of one of your workouts, then immediately they're probably going to, if they have the time, they're going to want to go ahead and say, well, I did that cardio work. I'll go ahead and do a stretching block.
Yes. It leads to more. It's a snowball effect. And that's why you just have to get out the door, right? Back when I was doing Ironmans, I still do them, but, truly racing. And, we're not motivated all the time, you and I. And you go, I just have to get out the door. I know that in 3, 4, 15 minutes, it's going to start feeling really good.
This episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is sponsored by Let's Get Checked. I typically get blood labs done 3-4 times per year, and I've dreaded it every time. It is time-consuming, expensive, and now I have to worry about why other people might be in the same waiting room with me. Let's Get Checked has a brilliant model for getting lab work done from the comfort of your own home. You order the tests you want. They send you the testing kits with full, easy-to-understand instructions. You get your sample and send it into them with the prepaid shipping label provided. Their labs are CLIA approved and CAP accredited, which is the highest accreditation available. But what I love most about their approach is how you can order just the tests you want. Full labs can get very expensive. With Let's Get Checked, you pick and choose the labs you want, and as a result, you pay less. Cholesterol, hormones, PSA, vitamin deficiency, CRP, thyroid, they have them all, but you only pay for the tests you want. No setting a doctor's appointment, going to the doctor, finding local testing lab, if they even have one in your town, setting another appointment, getting the sample drawn, and waiting. With Let's Get Checked, you'll have your results probably before you can even get in to see your doctor. A physician will review your results, and if there's anything going on, they have nurses that you can talk with. It is a really cool process. Let's Get Checked makes it easy for anyone to get professional testing and consultation from the comfort of their home. If you're trying to improve your health, you need measurable goals. Blood work is the best health marker you can use to know that you're on track. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/LGT and use the code ALLEN20. That's ALLAN20 to get 20% off. Visit 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/LGT and be sure to use the code ALLEN20 to get your 20% discount. I'll be sure to have a link and the code in the show notes at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/438. Yeah, when I was training for a marathon, and I was in Washington, D.C., and the gym I went to, they had a limit of 20 minutes on any one machine. So I'm like, I need to train for time. And so I just say, okay, well, I'm going to do this 20-minute block. And so I put my name on the list, and then I do my 20-minute block. And then as soon as I finish the 20 minutes, I just look for another machine that was open. And then I go do a 20-minute block there, and another 20-minute block there, and another. And so it was a cross training that was happening because they're just different types of machines, climber, rower, all kinds of stuff. And what I found was that, I'd do a 20-minute block, and I'd say, okay, well, I could just quit right now. But it just kind of got into my blood. It's like, no, I've got 20 minutes. I can go do another block until they kick me out of the gym, which happened a lot.
So let me give you a funny story about that. Is back, I started, as a trainer for many years, and then started working for different fitness equipment companies as a consultant. And I learned that all of those machines have codes. cheat codes where you can hack into the machine, and if it's set for 20 minutes, you could hack into it and make it go continuous. So back when I was training, and occasionally you do like a 20-minute or 20-mile run at the gym. Now, obviously, someone could come up and kick you off, but I would hack into the machine so that it would go, because I wanted full credit, Alan. I didn't want to do like a 10-mile, 15-mile run and not see 15 at the end. It's a mental thing, though, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, what they did was
well taken.
Yeah, they had a sign-up sheet, and the machine only went to 20 minutes. So they had little 20-minute blocks, and so they told you go on, you write your name, and then you do the 20-minute block, and you set your time. And people would be looking over your shoulder, employees and other people that wanted to use the machine, particularly if they were on the list. And it was a very busy gym. There was a reason that they only gave us 20 minutes.
Oh, totally. I get it.
But I was just like, okay, I'll get off of this machine and go there. And for me, again, what I was looking at, it was time. I was not training for distance, because I said, for me to be able to do something, it's really building that endurance to just be able to keep going. And
and it goes both ways, Alan. Now I have to chunk it. So if you are doing a longer day, you go, I got to be on this for an extended period of time. You say, well, no, I'm going to break it down into, 3 20-minute chunks or whatever. That makes it so, there's so much of the mental game that is involved in what we're talking about. And you have to figure out those tips and tricks that work for you.
Yeah. So we talked about consistency, but there are two other, I guess, what I would call attributes of excessive moderation, and that's quality and intensity. Could you talk about why those are so important?
Yeah, I was talking, and I talk frequently about there's a new thing, as many reps as possible and things like that. I don't care how many push-ups I do. I don't care how much weight I lift. Oftentimes when I am in the gym, people will come up to me and say, are you hurt? They'll ask, because I'm doing, dumbbell curls with 20 or 25 pounds, but I'm about quality. If the goal is to activate muscle fibers, you actually want to make it challenging, right? So I can do 100 really bad push-ups, or I can do 30 really good ones. And if my goal is to change my body and to be healthy, I don't care about the number. So that goes to the quality of the exercise. Form is everything to me. And then intensity, we need to vary those things as well, whether you have your easy day or your hard day. And that's why if you're doing a 5, 10 minute, 15-minute little cardio blast, if you're doing true Tabata, that's 4 minutes of brutal anaerobic work. So the shorter we go, if your goal is to maximize your time, then the intensity goes up. But we need variation in that as well.
Yeah. For a lot of people, they would think that quality and intensity kind of contradict each other. I mean, if you watched a CrossFit workout where AMRAP, people just flopping around and I'm like, okay, that's great until you break. So you got to have the quality of the movement. And then, we've got to go to an intensity where we're pushing ourselves, or we're not going to change. We need that stimulus to change. So the work has to be intense enough. But if you don't do it right, you're risking hurting yourself. And, over 40, you hurt yourself. That's a setback. That's a setback you don't want to have.
Absolutely. And that is the secret to, if there's the top 3 things that I'm all about, it's the excessive moderation, but it's also not getting injured. Our job in the fitness industry are threefold. It's to get people the greatest results in the shortest amount of time with the least likelihood of injury. And that third component is oftentimes left out, A, because, the fitness professional doesn't know, or B, they're just, they're falling prey to their ego and what the client wants. But, I've done an insane number of races in my life, but I'm injury free because it's about quality and over quantity. There are exercises I just won't do because the cost benefit doesn't make any sense to me. I go, why would I do that? When the risk of hurting myself is so high and the benefit is really not there either. So, there's too many exercises to choose from, Alan.
Yeah. And that's one of the areas I've always struggled. I'm not going to say I'll ever get over this, but it's that ego over capacity. And so, I tore a rotator cuff training for a Spartan because I just wanted to get really, really strong. And as I got really, really strong working with my trainer, and you start moving heavier weights and heavier dumbbells, and I was like, I'm just going to do overhead press with heavy, heavy dumbbells, and pop, there goes that arm.
Yeah, and we all have those moments, and hopefully we learn from them sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
and it just happens. We're going to have those obstacles, and it's human nature, right, to compete.
Yeah, which is why now, like when you were talking about your timing, your tempo of your lifts, the
Mm-hmm.
eccentric, concentric is fast and
Right.
eccentric is slow. So you're doing a 2 to 4 count, and I'll tell you, when you take half of the weight that you would normally use on any
Yes.
kind of work, and you go 2 seconds up and 4 seconds back, that's intense.
Yes. And what's so crazy, Alan, is my first true fitness job back when I was around 18, 19 years old was a summer job at a Nautilus facility. And it was the old school, I'm 51 going way back, but it was the old school machines that Arthur Jones came up with. And I was taught the 2 4-second count. And to this day, I still do this. And the crazy thing, you talk about coming full circle, is now I'm the fitness advisor for Nautilus. And but from, age 18, it was it made sense to me to have that slower repetition. It doesn't have to be perfectly 6 seconds, but just contracting and controlling that movement throughout the entire range of motion.
Yeah. Now, another way that we can get excessive moderation is just looking at ways that we wouldn't necessarily call a workout. And that might mean, parking the car a little bit further away from the building, using a flight of stairs or 2 flights of stairs rather than the elevator. And I think with social distancing, that's probably going to be happening a lot more.
Yeah.
But the term is called NEAT. It's an acronym. Could you kind of go into NEAT, what it is and why it's important?
Yeah, and I think it needs to be talked about so much more. So as we are doing this show, I am walking around. I have a standing desk and I am always moving, and that adds up. So it does come down to simple math. Let's assume the person goes to the gym 3 times a week for an hour and is on the cardio machine for 30 minutes out of that. They're going to burn, say, 1,000 calories or what the number is. So it matters and that helps. But it's what happens outside the gym, as we were talking about earlier, that adds up enormously as well. So, non-exercise activity thermogenesis is what that acronym stands for. And it's basically the calories we burn while fidgeting, while, just the movement we do throughout the day that seems so insignificant. But it goes down to, Alan, we all have those friends who you go, how is that person so skinny? I see what they eat. And they might not be going to the gym as much or if at all, but they are moving and burning hundreds, if not 1,000 calories or more per day than someone who is not doing those things. So just that movement that we may consider to be insignificant really matters. And, the modern day environment has taken almost all of that out, which is a huge problem, as we know.
Yeah. There's a term called eating like a bird, and it's you're not eating much at all. Birds eat a lot, but they're moving so much. It's kind of, they used it backwards. If you're eating like a bird, which we are, you need to move around a lot to burn off that food. And unfortunately, we're actually eating like birds, but not eating like birds.
That's a perfect analogy. That's exactly right.
Tom, I define wellness as being the healthiest, fittest, and happiest you can be. What are 3 strategies or tactics to get and stay well?
Ooh. 3 tactics to stay well. So I would say, and start with what I start this new book with, is that you have to believe you have control. We have to start from that. So many people, due to bad information and bad articles and bad science, is the belief that their genetics and their situation has predetermined them and they'll never be the healthy weight. They'll never be able to achieve what they want. And my lifetime has shown, I have clients who have so far exceeded expectations. So it's that first belief that, hey, you have control. There are 3 things we control: how much we move, what we put into our mouths, and our state of mind. And that's amazing. So you have to start with that. And then you just have to experiment. When people say to us, Alan, that they don't like exercise, you and I both know that means they haven't found what they enjoy yet. And it just takes, trial and error to get there. And then finally, and that goes for food too, by the way, healthy food, healthy exercise, you just have to experiment. There's so many options for everybody. There's no one way. And then finally, we don't, unfortunately, success in exercise has been twofold. It's the number on the scale and it's what you see in the mirror. And if today's pandemic doesn't teach us completely how important being healthy is, eating healthy, our immune system, exercise. So you don't judge the success of your fitness program based on a number on a scale. And it's about, as you said, feeling good, being happy, and living a long, healthy life. And we're going to be 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. I want those years to be quality years and enjoying everything that I want to. So that's what it comes down to.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Tom. If someone
Sure.
wanted to learn more about you, more about the book, The Micro Workout Plan, where would you like for me to send them?
Team Holland is the website, TEAM, hollandlikethecountry.com. And then Tom H. Fit is basically my Instagram. Tom H. Fit is my Twitter. And they can learn all about that too at teamholland.com.
Great. You can go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/438, and I'll be sure to have the links there. So, Tom, thank you so much for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
So great to speak with you. And I'm very jealous that you're in Panama. I have to say, you figured it out, fitness and Panama. So congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/group. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet Kim Jones and discuss her book, Trick Yourself to Sleep, 220 Ways to Fall and Stay Asleep from the Science of Slumber. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.